Are y'all ready? It's time. Woo! Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Moments with Mama Sue. I am so excited that you are here. Thank you for making a big old hole in your schedule today so you could join me, because you already know connecting with you is the best part of my day. I absolutely love it. I look forward to it. Thank you for watching with me, all of you that are with me in real time. And then I'm also giving a shout out to those who are going to watch the replay, because sometimes life gets in the way and you can't just get here right now, right here, right now. But I thank you for watching later. That counts too. And of course, we got to give a great big old shout out to all of the listeners and viewers on WJIL.Today TV. They're watching Moments with Mama Sue in replay on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 3 o'clock a.m., 10 o'clock a.m., and 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time via WJIL.Today. Gospel Radio, Roku, and Fire Stick TV. And I appreciate that so much. Ooh, thank you. And for those of you that are watching from WJIL, just slide into my DMs and tell me how you're liking the show. I love hearing from you, and I appreciate you so much for watching. Thank you, Pastor Patty, for making this platform available. I absolutely love it. And before we get in too deep, guys, would you please do me a favor, like and share and do all of those little things that the emoji is telling you to do. I appreciate it. That's the way that we grow our audience. And when you're liking and subscribing and sharing, that just means that you're having a good time and you are inviting somebody else to come along for the ride, because the more the merrier. That's the way we do it over here. We have a lot of things going on this month. I'm always doing something. And what you doing now, Mama Sue? Where are you going? Well, listen, the month has been busy. We've been doing quite a few things. But you know, after every Moments with Mama Sue, that's followed up by me going to the Southeast Senior Center, and I will be there tomorrow. Yes, I will. faithfully. I look forward to it. I'll be there for the Southeast Senior Sing-Along. And if you are in West Texas, do yourself a favor and come on by. You would love it. We'll be singing and just having a grand time together. And, I'll be really curling on the piano. I'm really all into it with my whole heart. And if you're not available and can't come with us in person, then be sure and kind of tune in around 10:30-ish on my Facebook page, Mama Sue Roseberry, and I always go live and let you get a chance to hear those vivacious elderly singers. Child, we are tearing it up down there, and we're having a great time. We almost had a full house last session, some new faces in the room. You get to hear the seniors sing and get to hear the music that just inspires us and keeps us going. So we invite you to be a part of that. And then, of course, if you need a little more inspiration, a Mama Sueism to just keep you going and keep you motivated, jump on my website and get Thoughts from the Heart that has daily thoughts and inspirational quotes from yours truly. These are little nuggets that the Lord has dropped into my life. Let's see what it says. It's a perpetual calendar now, so it never ever runs out. All you do is just keep flipping it because there is no year on there. But it will keep you with a little bit of something from Mama Sue for every day of the week. Now, let me see what I said for. Let me see what the Lord let me write for the 19th of August. The fact that God has more planned for me than I can imagine fills my heart with major anticipation. My imagination is ooh-wee big, and the thought that God has more than what I can conceive in store for me gives me the boldness to say, come on, God, let's do this. 1 Corinthians 2:9. So if you'd like to have a little of that Mama Sueism with that you can just refer to every day, go to my website and pick up the perpetual calendar. I would love, love, love for you to have it. And then the other things that we have going on this month is that at the end of this week, it's already coming. I've been telling you about it. My church, Macedonia Baptist Church, is having its annual choir musical, and I am so excited. It's the first one that I've been able to be a part of as the leader of music ministry, so I invite you to come join us. Macedonia will be rocking on Saturday night, 7:00 p.m. We'll be there, and we have a wonderful program in mind for you. The Macedonia Baptist Church Choir will be featured, along with appearances by Pam Jackson and Andre Smith. And of course, Russell White will be in the building, and he is somebody's vocalist. And our special guest will be the voices of Amarillo, Texas. So you see what it's saying. Don't miss it. Tell yourself, I got to be there. Make sure you are there. We would love to see you, get an opportunity to fellowship with you and worship the Lord together. I'm excited about it. I can hardly wait, and I want you to be present for an evening of worship and praise. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. So I invite you to come. Now, I'm going to tell you in advance, I have a phenomenal guest tonight. Y'all see, I fixed my hair a new way and everything because I was so excited about this guest being on with me. I wanted to, kind of do the right thing. But we will talk to him and enjoy everything that he is going to say right after this.
beyond entertainment. It's an experience. Book Mama Sue Roseberry today.
That is worthy. Woo, he's a great God. And you know what? He gives gifts to some great people. One of those persons is on with me tonight. I've known him for more years than I care to tell you, but he is a phenomenal community leader. He's the pastor of the Macedonia Baptist Church, and he's also the chief talent officer for the Fort Worth Independent School District. And I am so proud and so excited to be able to welcome him to Moments with Mama Sue. Would you give a great big Mama Sue's family welcome to Pastor Woodrow Bailey III?
Good evening. Good evening.
That's like my applause.
Well, I'm just glad to be here. I tell you, I was waiting for my chance. I was watching the names go by of all the great people, and I said, one day my name is going to come up in the list, and I'll be a guest on the Mama Sue show. So I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, Lord. I had to get up my courage to ask first because, you know, some people, I felt like I was. Next after you is the former President Barack Obama.
No.
So there you go.
Absolutely not. Well, and let me say, what a wonderful job you are doing with this show. I mean, it is definitely excellent, done, executed with excellence, and it is it's just wonderful. And I applaud you, and I'm always one of your biggest fans. So, yes, just great job.
Ah, well, I am so pleased. Well, we have a lot of people on with us tonight, and they're just clapping their hands and got all kind of little emojis going. You all be sure to like and share this. I asked you to come on because I wanted to talk about education. Our kids have just gone back to school. And of course, education is a big thing for us in the African American community because it's been one of the things that has helped us to advance as a race of people. However, that old African proverb that it takes a village to raise a child, I think that applies to education in a unique way. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely, and I'll try not to read the comments. I think that's going to be the hardest thing for us to do tonight, Sue, is not to read the comments, and also while I'm trying to talk. But definitely, you know, as we start the school year, it's a renewed opportunity for every child, every family, every parent to start anew and afresh, and to really focus in on what the challenge is for this upcoming year. It's a great time. I was on campus this last week. I have a 10-year-old that started fifth grade, and I also was able to stop by my wife's classroom, and she's teaching pre-K this year, so some of our youngest learners. And it's just wonderful to see their excitement, their anticipation of what they're going to learn. They're so full of potential, so full of opportunity and possibility, and you see it in their eyes. And so that's really what our job is as adults and as parents, as educators. I've been in education now. This is year 24, I believe. I spent 22 years in Midland and now here in Fort Worth. It's great, and we have a great responsibility to make sure that we're fostering the the intellectual abilities of our young people. And let me tell you, every child has the capacity to learn, to excel, and to succeed. And with that village that you're talking about, it does take all of us. And so as we really try to encapsulate what that proverb says, is that it takes all of us. And our village can be big, our village may be small, but it's really important that we think about the village mentality. I will say that over the course of the last couple of decades, the village idea has changed, because I hear stories from my mom, my grandparents, to talk about how there was an aunt down the street or a neighbor next door, and they were all involved in the raising of families and children. And so I think that that's something that we definitely have to in some way get back to. It does. It's relying upon trust. But the core idea of the village mindset is that a child's development benefits from the collective support and wisdom of the entire community. I have to say that I am a product of the village. I have a big village, and so you didn't want to say how long we've known each other. More than 20 years. So I have an enormous village. I was blessed with, my dad was a pastor. And so when you living there in Midland, I know that there were so many people that were major pioneers. And as I look back, I'm like, man, I had the opportunity to get to know them, for them to have a great impact on my life. Some of them, a lot of them are now gone on and they're at rest. But I'm grateful that I had an opportunity. People like Dr. Coleman. Dr. Viola Coleman was the organist in my dad's church, and so I got to see her every Sunday morning and get to witness her professionalism and hear her wisdom over the years. Grew up with her grandchildren, and so it's those folks. It's having an opportunity. My first boss in education, the one that hired me and started me in this educational journey, was Mamie Williams, and I was a young person, 21 years old, and started in education, 21, 22. And she took a chance on me, but she didn't let me fail. And she said, I'm going to make sure that you're successful. And so that's the village mindset. I mean, it goes far beyond just those two. I mean, when you talk about family and parents and grandparents, it takes all of us. It's that collective support that is really necessary. And so the encouragement is, if you're an adult and you have something to give, you don't have to have a degree. You don't have to have years of expertise in any particular subject. It's just about giving to a child and supporting that child to help them reach their potential. And that's really what it's all about. It takes teachers, it takes neighbors, it takes extended family members, grandparents, cousins, next door neighbors, all sharing our experiences and values. I will tell you that growing up, I really enjoyed hanging around with older people, and so I can probably say that was that's still some of my favorite time. When you talk about going over to the Senior Citizen Center, my godmother, Myrtle Hall, she was very instrumental in starting that. So that's who helped to make me who I am today. I would say when I look to being a father and an educator, a professional, I look back on all of those memories, and I remember all the wisdom that they shared with me. When it comes to ministry, Reverend O.J. Archie, I was blessed to spend, he married my mom and dad in the front yard. So my entire life has been around him, and he's poured so much into me. People like Reverend Palmer and others, and other pillars in the community. James Bradford, he was very instrumental in my life in a time when my father had just passed away, and he was very instrumental in helping me through that time. So it does take so many people. It takes a village and the collective support of the entire community to raise up this generation.
Wow. And when you were speaking and talking about all of the people that played a role, it made me remember how important it was to us in our community to be able to help our children. But it seems like, now this just may be me, I don't know, but it's almost like we don't have the invitation of education to come in and play a role anymore. I used to live in the block right down the street from Lee Freshman. And even when I didn't have children in Lee Freshman, I just used to go up there sometime and just kind of walk the halls and be a role model, somebody from our community walking up the halls and saying, why you not in your class? Or why are you sitting out here in the hallway? You can't learn out here. Or just kind of checking up and making sure that the teachers and educators knew somebody was watching and concerned and cared. But I don't feel that kind of okayness with, let me just use that word, okayness with going to the schools now, because so much is crazy in our world. We got people doing mass shootings and it's under lockdown. You got to go and put your ID up there, and then they give you a little label that with a black square because it don't your picture don't come out right on it. But
Right.
what can we do? What do the schools welcome us to do in supporting our children?
I will say that that is a challenge, and I think that's something that we've lived through the last couple decades. Again, how it has changed, and how and erring on the side of safety, which is so important. We have to make sure that we have a safe and secure environment. Then we encountered COVID, and so that changed the dynamics as well. I was in a session this summer, well-known university, prestigious university, and they were talking about, one of the professors was really talking in regard to the difference between parent involvement and parent engagement. And what school districts really have to focus on is more engaging parents so that the school becomes open and welcoming, because you can be involved, but that does not necessarily mean that you're engaged. And so that's something that we're working on here in Fort Worth, is really trying to engage our community in the work so that it's more than just showing up. As you mentioned, yes, that's an important part. Being there is important, but when you come, are you engaged in the work? Are you engaged in making sure that that students are, that you're engaged in what's going to make them a better student? Are you engaged in making sure that instruction is supported? Are you making sure, are you engaged in the needs of the students? Because a lot of times people can show up for various reasons, and of course that's something that we always have to protect. And there's a delicate balance between safety and security, and also having a welcoming and inviting campus. Also understanding that sometimes cultural barriers cause an issue, and so we have to, as educators, that's something that we all have to work on. We have to make sure that we're having these conversations so that parents feel welcome and feel like they are invited into the educational setting. Because if you can invite a parent into the educational setting, it will make a big difference with the child's trajectory as they go through their educational career. I will tell you that my wife, she did something a few years ago. She was at another campus, and it was called Parent University. And I found that something that was very eye-opening and enlightening, because it invited parents, came to classes on how to help their students be successful. And that's the difference between involvement and engagement. Because involvement might say, yes, bring cookies, bring cakes, come to the birthday party, come to the Valentine's party. That's involvement. But engagement is where you train the parents on how to make sure that their children are successful, so that they can help students when they get home. They can help their child when they get home. They can know how to create a literacy rich environment, how to have those teachable moments when they're in the grocery store, because that's engagement. You're become a partner in the educational process, not just someone that shows up once or twice a year on field day or on a party day. So that's the difference. And that's something that we really, and I would encourage the community to really start that conversation. I know that there are some campuses that do better than others, but I think that is a community-wide conversation that needs to be initiated.
Well, you mentioned that. And of course, we have a lot more things at our disposal today than we used to have. And I know that a lot of the schools are trying, at least I see MISD attempting to share more information about what's going on in the schools via social media. So that is one area where the schools are reaching out, trying to let the community know what's taking place and give them a little more information about what's happening at the school. What do you see the bigger role of technology being in what the schools are offering?
Stu, I would say that, in regard to technology, I think that we have to acknowledge the changing technology and how technology has advanced. I have a student now; he's in fifth grade, and so I can keep in constant contact with the teacher. They're letting me know what's going on, but then I have a responsibility as well to respond, to ask questions, and again to engage with what's going on with my student, with my child. If I have questions, to make sure that those are known. So utilizing technology, it used to be when I'm gonna tell my age now, when they used to pin the note to my clothes and send it home with me. Now we don't have that barrier anymore. We can actually have real time information, two-way communication. So not only is it something that comes to us, but then we can also respond to what's going on in the classroom. And so it's exactly what you're doing. We're utilizing all of our technological resources. I will say that as students get older, we're now hearing conversations throughout the country in regard to the use of cell phones, and is that a distraction now more than a help to the educational process? So those conversations will continue. But what I can say is that it's important that the parents are involved with what's going on with your child specifically. There's a conversation in the education world, and I've heard it for years in regard to, well, is this school district better than that school district? Is this school better than that school? It really all boils down to the teacher in the classroom and the, the impact that they're having with the individual student. You can put a grade on a campus, you can put a grade on a district, but there are great teachers and there are great teachers making differences with students in every school and in every class, in every district, no matter where it is across the nation. So it's really about the relationship, and if something's not working for your child, I said this earlier when we were talking in preparation for the show. If something's not going great with your child, it is the parent's responsibility to make sure they are the first and the best advocate for their child. You have to be the one that speaks up for your child. You have to be the one that speaks up for students in general. If it's not your child, if it's your cousin, if it's your nephew, if it's your next door neighbor, every child needs an advocate, and every child needs someone that can speak up on their behalf. And that's something that spans the gamut. When I was talking about Miss Williams, one thing that I learned early on, even before I had children, she told me, she's like, this is somebody's child, and so you have to make sure that you're teaching that child that you're doing what's best. And if they come up here and they're upset, acknowledge that, but try to figure out how you can work through that process, because that's important. You have to be an advocate. It may mean that you're upset that day, but let's get on the same page and know that we're in it for the right reason. So we have to be advocates for our kids.
Yes, I'm seeing in the comments, Ladriba is agreeing with you. Yes, be an advocate, because we have so much. We're always talking about the potential of children and what it is that they can do. But if we never foster what's in them and don't channel it in the right direction, then it's of no benefit. We're going
Right.
to be talking and addressing one of the questions that I saw in the chat that came up, because this is an exciting conversation for me, because we love our children and we want the best for them. And we're going to ask some of those questions right after this. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Miss Annie from way down south. She's loud, she's fun, but you'd better watch out. Put on your seatbelt and take the rollicking ride with the unpredictable Miss Annie as she whips and turns and drives straight into your heart. Own it today at www.sueroseberry.com. Woo, if you just joined me tonight, my guest is the incomparable Pastor Woodrow Bailey III, who is also the Chief Talent Officer. Ain't that a good name, y'all? Ain't that a good way to say working with the people that come in and teach our children? He is the Chief Talent Officer for Fort Worth Independent School District, and we've been talking about this village that it takes to raise our children. Pastor Bailey, one of the persons in our chat, let me put that up from the comments thread. Karen says, can you name at least one challenge the school system across the state is having concerning our children? And if you're at liberty to discuss that and how the village can assist in helping.
I think that the greatest challenge that every school system across the state and across the nation, for that matter, is responding to the challenges. Everybody, and I would say it's not just in education, it goes to churches, it's the economy, the things that we're seeing in our economy, it's politics. We're all trying to still respond to what happened to us in 2020 and 2021. I know that it's kind of in our far rearview mirror because we don't want to remember COVID, but I remember very well, and we're still dealing with the impact and the effects of what happened in 20 and 21. It's interesting. We were in a conversation with some educators talking about some of the scores that are coming out as far as accountability from last year, and you can see in the data that um, there's almost like a bubble that travels through from if they were in kindergarten in 2020. I had a kindergartner that year that left at spring break and didn't go back. And so now, how does that impact them in fourth and fifth grade? Maybe they were in ninth grade and they went home at spring break. They didn't come back for a year or 6 or 8 months, whatever it was, depending on the district. And of course, in Texas, we actually returned much earlier than a lot of districts across the nation. So when I'm talking about doing what's best and how can we help, it's a great question, Miss Cook, Miss Karen Clark Sheard Cook, um, the extraordinaire. We definitely have a lot to do, and I would say, what can we do as a community to help the school system? Again, it's the same thing that we're saying all along. Get involved. Let your voice be heard. Not only just at the campus level, make sure that you're letting your voice be heard in the PTA, in other district committees. Make sure you're attending board meetings, that you're in constant communication with board members to express your concerns, whatever they may be. And again, I will tell you this because one of the perceptions across the nation is that, of course, we are dealing with a teacher shortage, but I will tell you, I'm married to a teacher. I have a sister that's a teacher. My sister-in-law is a teacher. My brother-in-law is a teacher. I have my best friends are teachers. 98% of educators are in the business for the right reason. I could probably even say 99%. All in the business for the right reason, and it's not the check. It's because they are really called to the work, called to making a difference for students. That's why they give up so much of their time. Let me tell you, the pay is not great. They can go make money doing something, make more money doing something else, but they're in it for students, to make sure the students are getting the best education possible. And I think that if we can support that, if we can really get behind teachers, really make sure that they feel valued, make sure that if there is an issue, that's not the number one attack. That's not the first thing that you come up to the school complaining about. What did you do to my child? That type of thing. We have to make sure that we're supporting educators. And so as a community, we have to, what can you do to support teachers? How can you make them feel valued? What are the intangible things, the non-monetary things that you can do to support? I will tell you that taking a box of cookies by to teachers, giving them a call, dropping a card off, all of those things are things that we can do today to help support and make sure that what's going on in the classroom continues and that our students are successful.
Ah, that is good. Now um, you talked about how parents have to be advocates for the children, but we just might as well tell the truth. Some of these children,
Yes, yes,
oh, in the name of Jesus,
yes,
some of
yes,
these children
yes.
are a little difficult. A little difficult. So, what kinds of things is the school at liberty to do with some of these difficult children?
I think that's a challenge, and if I had an hour to unpack that, because there's a lot of things when you start talking about over identifying students with child behavior problems as being special education needs or having special needs, and so there are disparities there between racial groups and that. So there's a lot to unpack there, but what I can say is that you know the connection between the teacher and the student, even those challenging students, is so vitally important. That's also the challenge because a teacher is required. They may have 22, 23 students in their class, and then they're trying to also address the behavior challenges. Um, it becomes a staffing issue. We also have, the limited number of staff that are trained to help students with behavior problems. But one thing that, my mother, And most of you all know my mother. She raised 3 kids, and we're still afraid of her today. But um, I will say that something I learned from Miss Williams as well, who was the principal that, of all principals, I would say, an administrator and educator. But again, if your child is having trouble in class, try go sitting in that class. Go try to go sit in that class for a day and see the difference that can be made. Continue the conversation with not only the teacher but with the principal, but go in with an open mind to say, "Here, I'm here to help to support. Let me know what I can do." Because I understand that, and as you said, we're going to be honest. You know the problem that you have with your child at home. I know my child at home, so when if someone says something, I say, "Well, yeah, that's probably my son." But you know your child. I know the drive-through the first day of school, there were some parents with sighs of relief because they were dropping off those kids that they've had in their house all summer long, eating up all their food, tearing up stuff and that kind of thing, trying to keep them engaged. Well, let me tell you, parents, you have to understand that same student child that was in your house all summer is the one that came to school last week. And so we have to be partners in the work. And so not only that, but I would also say, because you did say, I am the pastor of Macedonia, but I'm a minister at heart. And when pioneers, as the story goes, and it talks all through history, they would go and open up an area, they were going to start a community. They call it the three-legged stool. They would it would be at home. They'd build a home. They'd have a school. Sometimes the school was in the home, but they would establish a school or a learning environment. And then thirdly would be a church. And I would say that if parents have to remember, even in the midst of all of the things that are going on, all of the activities, all of the great things that happen on the weekends, and I know that it's a busy week, and sometimes, I just want to sleep in, I just have other things to do. I have to say that having a faith base is so vitally important for young people. Um, and then it's ours as churches and as leaders in churches to make sure that we're providing those examples as well. And so we have to remember this, that three-legged stool. Home has a role, education has a role, and I definitely believe that the church is also is very important, and it's still vital even in 2024. The church has a major role in making sure that we're growing productive students. And I'll put a plug in. Macedonia has a long history of being a good foundation for young people and raising great leaders. So that's important.
Absolutely. And I echo those sentiments because even as our children are growing and evolving, the truth of the matter is there will come a time in their life when, at those foolish teenage years, they mama don't know nothing, they daddy don't know nothing, they don't believe nobody, they don't think, in the words of my grandmother, they don't believe fat meat is greasy. They don't think nobody know nothing but them. And
Right.
so during those times, it's really wonderful to have the intervention and positive support of one of those legs of the stool, which is your faith-based, your church, to be involved and reinforce the positive things that you're trying to get over to them.
Right. Absolutely. I would say, it's important to have that foundation and to make sure that, and it does take that village, and that goes back to what we're talking about. Your village might be your community. Your village might be your church. I would say this. It was really interesting, because I've been in church all my life. I'm a church kid. I'm, PK, all those things. But if you remember the movie with Will Smith, and he was going through those challenges, and he was homeless and everything like that, and he had the little boy with him, and they were trying to navigate life and all of that. In the back of my mind, in the movie theater, I kept asking the same question over again: where's the church? Why doesn't he? Where does he go to church? Because it's just such a foundation of who I am. And I know the church has flaws, but yet and still, it's so foundational to building strong individuals. And it's the Word of God. It's being knowing who you are, knowing whose you are, understanding that we are living and that we are placed on this earth for a purpose, that we were created on purpose. And when students want to give up, that's what I say to our young people all the time. I want you to grow up because you will encounter trouble, you will encounter trials and tribulations and all of the things that go on in this evil world that we live in. But you need to know that number one, God cares about you, that He's there for you, and that's so vitally important for young people. So and with all the ills of society, that they have that center within them, that knowing that they don't have to give up on life, they don't have to go through life by themselves, no matter what happens. That they have a faith base, and that's so important.
Not to mention that the people in the church have wonderful skill sets and experiences. Some of them are working in a number of the fields that will impact your
Absolutely.
child's life going forward, and they may be able to offer some invaluable insight and inspiration to your children, and you don't know who they will gravitate toward, but you at least have a chance of them maybe finding a very strong role model in the church that can help, as I said, to reinforce the things that you're saying. While we're on
Absolutely.
here, Pastor Bailey, got to give a shout out to everybody that's watching tonight. Of course, we have Lori Williams on with us, Cynthia. Look, I can't talk. Cynthia Broxton, thank you for watching. And Janice Jackson. Of course, Anna Bailey is on. She tuned in.
Hey,
Patricia Bell Wright. Frederick Byers and Karen Cook, Elizabeth Stratton Ford. Oh, hey, Elizabeth. And everybody that's on. I think I kind of combed, Miss Haywood. She's on. Ladriba Colston. So many of you tuned in, and I'm going down the list. I'm scanning, but in case I miss somebody, charge it to my head and not my heart. Gwen is on with us, Nell Carter Whitley, and so many others. Thank you all for being on and for liking and sharing this, because it's so important that we continue the conversations that will help us to grow and positively impact our community. Now, Pastor Bailey, you were talking about some of the talent. Where are we having the biggest deficit in talent in the school system? Is it in our primary grades or is it in our secondary level?
honestly, it's really not segmented into a particular level. I would say that it varies, but what I see is trends across the state and across the nation from talking to colleagues and looking at data. It's really more specific to certain areas, like for instance, Texas being predominantly and majority growing Hispanic demographic. And so here, even in Fort Worth, is the emergent bilingual group. And so we are definitely focusing on in need of special bilingual teachers. And so that is something that I'm hearing a lot about across the state, as well as those that are able to work with our special needs students. That group is growing considerably. And so I'm hearing from a lot of colleagues who were together in just in July, and the number of special education vacancies across the nation has significantly increased. We attribute a lot of that back to some of the COVID issues that may be a misidentification. I can unpack that later, but maybe some of those things that we're experiencing. But that is also inclusive of not only just special education teachers, but that includes occupational therapists, speech therapists, dyslexia teachers throughout the gamut. And so almost to the point where we're having trouble even having enough evaluation staff to make sure that we're reaching and meeting all the needs of students. And that's something that I'm hearing not only in the Metroplex, but across the state and as well as the nation.
Wow. Well, another area where the community can be involved, of course, you may not have gone to school primarily to be an educator or a teacher, but since you're hearing about all the shortages, schools always need substitute teachers and they always need substitute staff in a variety of positions. Can you talk about that and how concerned and qualified individuals might apply and be involved in that?
Absolutely. And, whatever your discipline is or, your expertise, if you're pursuing a degree, I know that there's some great programs right now, that's partnerships with Midland College specifically, and then other universities throughout the state of Texas that if you're ready to even start a bachelor's degree or you're in some process, that there are opportunities for you to work and complete your educational coursework for a bachelor's degree that ultimately would where you could attain your certification as well and into the classroom. And so here in Fort Worth, we have some great opportunities. I know about some opportunities out west as well, partnerships with great universities like Texas Tech and University of North Texas, Tarleton University, San Angelo State. There are a lot of UTPB. There are a lot of universities that have identified that yes, you might be late in that process, but you can work because that's important, and it's not may not pay a large sum of money, but at least you can work and start working on your degree. And so I would definitely encourage anyone that's out there. Yes, subbing is an option. It's always an option. We need great subs. It's vital. Substitutes are vital to the operation of any school district. But there are also long-term opportunities where you can work as a teacher assistant in a classroom, and then while you're also pursuing your coursework with an educational institution of higher learning. So those are becoming much more available. There's also some grant dollars that different entities are putting into the educational world to make sure that we are able to support those folks. So we're reaching out right now to teachers assistants that have years of educational experience, been in the classroom years, to work with them. And even there are some universities that are providing that at little to no cost, if you believe that. So attaining a bachelor's degree is really attainable. And I would encourage, if someone needs to know about some of these opportunities, feel free, hit me up on LinkedIn, reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you to get connected with one of these universities that are providing a bachelor's degree, believe it or not, while you're working. And some of them have great programs where it's less than $10,000 for you to get your bachelor's degree while you're working with the school district that's partnered with that university.
Wow. I can remember when I was a little girl that the teachers were so highly revered
Absolutely.
because I'm telling you, we used to have to put on our church clothes and use the Vaseline and everything when Miss Dixon was coming over to our house for dinner. She was a spinster teacher that was in our community, but she was so highly admired. And I mean, we just all gathered around just to hear whatever it was that Miss Dixon had to say. And I don't,
Right, right.
because it was so wonderful that educators were revered in the way that they were. And I think that we need to get back to understanding, as you said, that you said 98 or 99% of the educators are in it for the right reason, and to begin to respect and encourage and love that they love sharing knowledge and information with our children.
It's really important. And whatever we can do to support teachers, we ought to let's all join together and do that.
Absolutely. Well, we've come about to the end of our time. I'm going to give Pastor Bailey an opportunity to have a final message that he'd like to share with everyone. But I want to thank you for tuning in to Moments with Mama Sue. You know that it is my favorite thing. I appreciate everything that you're doing to help me to be able to share the things that I'm passionate about. I encourage you to connect with me. If you're not already connected, be sure and go to my website at www.sueroseberry.com and make sure you're connected. There is a subscriber-based opportunity there where I get an opportunity to share things that we don't even talk about on this platform because I don't have to be worried about the social media police. We have an after chat where I get to share some in-depth conversation with some of my guests and talk a little bit on that platform on my website. But all of those things are available. So go to my website and be sure to get connected. There's newsletter and blogs and all kind of fun things. And then, of course, whenever we're doing something, whenever I'm doing something, I'm always looking to all of those persons who are part of the family and the village that supports me to help me decide how to move forward in the best way so that God can be glorified and I can continue to do something that's impactful. So please go there and subscribe and get connected. And if you would love to have me be a part of anything that you're doing, just reach out to me on social media. All of my information is there. Or if you just put in Sue Roseberry, put it in Google, something will come up. I'm on all the social media platforms, and I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to connect with you on whatever it is that you have going. And now, Pastor Bailey, would you give us a final word before we close?
Well, Mama Sue, I called her earlier minister of music, Sue Roseberry, all of those great and extraordinary titles that you are so worthy of. I just want to applaud you and thank you for this opportunity. I will be pastor for a moment, and I'll ask for your cash app because I definitely believe that this great community ought to sow into the great work that you're doing here on your show. It's done with excellence, and we want to make sure that we are part of what God is doing in your life. And we are so proud of you, and we want to partner with you as you continue to spread love and joy and so much knowledge with those that are tuning in each and every week. So I'm just appreciate you for all that you're doing and for putting such great effort in producing and presenting this opportunity. I would encourage everyone, if there's a challenge from tonight's content or subject matter, make sure that you reach out to a teacher, tell them that they're doing a good job, and give them a pat on their back. They're doing hard work. They're doing hard work. They're doing God's work. And so let's try to encourage them and be there to support them. And be supportive of a child. Be an advocate. If a child doesn't have someone to speak up for them, find that to be your responsibility and come alongside and make sure that we're all in this together to make sure that we're raising up a generation. Someone did it for us, and so we owe it to the next generation as well. And so also, I hope to see you all Saturday night. We have a phenomenal group, and I'm so proud of the team that God has allowed us to put together. And so we hope to see you all this Saturday night, as was mentioned earlier. So thanks again for this opportunity, and keep doing great work.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Pastor Bailey, for being with me tonight and sharing this wonderful conversation. Everybody, you can catch it in replay. And if there was something that passed by too fast, you can go back and catch it and play it over and over again and share that information. Hang out with me backstage while I close out, and I can make sure I have everything in the can. Everybody, thank you for joining me. It's the best thing ever to have you here. I absolutely love interacting with you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Moments with Mama Sue. Woo! Now that's what I call a great show. Woo! We out of here. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments with Mama Sue. Now we can do it a little better than that. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments. Well, all right, come on with it. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments. Yeah. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments. Wait. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments with Mama Sue. Moments. Moments with Mama Sue. Never know what to expect. Hey! Moments with Mama Sue. Moments.
Moments, yeah. From the mountain.
Can't you?
From the mountain. Moments. Oh.
Well, now we might be done a little bit too much.